I'm going to introduce you. Welcome, everybody, to Alien's Joy. I'm so happy to see you today. For this episode, we are going to talk to Jen Sherman. She is the owner and executive director of Bookish in Malakoff, Texas. I am so super excited today. We're going to talk again, to local store owners, to local boutique owners like I did last month, just to promote some local shopping. It's just going to be a weird year for everyone, and we just really want you to watch this and go out and do some local shopping, just to really promote that. So Jen is wonderful. She has a beautiful, beautiful storefront, a beautiful store in Malakoff, Texas, small town, but really close to Dallas, about 45 minutes, an hour away from Dallas, close to Athens, Texas, Tyler, Texas. And it's absolutely worth to go see her beautiful store, Bookish. She's been married for over 30 years with 2 children to Tom. And when she is not at Bookish, she loves reading, needle pointing, playing mahjong. Playing mahjong is big, Jan. That's whoa. And being involved in the church, of course, and just doing all kind of fun things around the store. We're going to find out today as well what you have going on for Christmas. So welcome to the show. I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you so much for having me
today.
Thank you for promoting the small businesses and the idea of shopping small. Love it.
Thank you. Local shopping, so important right now. We got to get away from Amazon a little bit. So really, please everybody, please go out. Thank you for watching today. Hi, if you're coming on the show, so good to see you guys. Thank you for your support. So tell me a little bit about who's Jen. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a lifelong avid reader. I was raised in a family of readers. I really attribute my love to books and reading to my parents, especially my dad. I grew up in a very small town in New Mexico, and we didn't have a bookstore or anything like that, but we had a local library, and my dad would take us kids to the library every single week, and he was always encouraging us to read. And so that's really where my love of books came from. So born and raised in New Mexico, and met my husband Tom in El Paso, Texas. And like you said, we've been married 30 years and we have 2 children. And so we love being part of the Cedar Creek community, and just having this business here has been just wonderful.
So I understand you came from Dallas, North Dallas, towards the lake. Right here, we're at a beautiful lake, my friends. So you moved here. And
so we had purchased a weekend home about 13 years ago. So we would just come to Cedar Creek Lake from Dallas for the weekends and enjoyed that for many years. And when my son, my youngest, graduated from high school, we found ourselves spending more and more time down here at the lake. And my husband, he was able to do his business from pretty much wherever. So he was working from here a lot. And so that precipitated him wanting to find an office space. And so this is kind of how the whole bookstore even came into being. So he starts looking around the lake for maybe a place to rent for an office for him, since we're down here so much more. And one day he called me and said, "Oh, Jen, you have got to come over to this. I'm at this building in downtown Malakoff, this historic building. It's for sale. Come over here." And I'm thinking it's, something he might want to rent for his work or whatever. And I walked in and I just knew it had to be a bookstore. I had dreamed my whole life of owning a bookstore, or even just working in a bookstore. I would have been happy with. But it had always been an idea in the back of my mind. And when I saw that building, I said, this is it. This is going to be my bookstore. And so it just happened. It just kind of fell in my lap. And the next thing I know, we have purchased this 100-year-old building, and we remodeled it some. We tried to keep as much of the original as we could, but it just screamed bookstore, and we just did it.
It is beautiful building. I can tell everybody who is close.
The history of the building is amazing.
Yes. Do you know a little bit more about what was there, or what the real history is?
So I have done a lot of research. In fact, in the store, we have some wonderful photos from when the buildings, that whole strip of buildings, from when they were being built. And you can see the people in their 1910 clothing in the front. And so I do have, it's been lots of things. The nameplate on the front that would have been placed when it was built says Waldron Brothers. And I cannot find a single thing about the Waldron brothers. But the earliest back I have found was a group of men who owned a general store, and they were Malakoff residents. And so it was a general store is the earliest thing that I can find from the early 1900s.
Wow.
Yes.
It's so interesting because there's so much history here, especially
So
small
much
town
history.
Texas.
And
I
there's
love it.
one little story about the building that I love to share.
Yeah.
So if you've been in the building, you'll know this. If you haven't, it's worth a trip to come and see. But the building is made out of this beautiful cream brick.
Yeah.
And you might know one of the first residents of Malakoff was Mr. Bartlett, and he owned the Bartlett Brick Company. It's now Acme Brick in Malakoff. But
Yes.
he built that stretch of buildings. And that brick was the first colored non-red brick to ever be used in the United States. And he took that brick to the World's Fair that year and won the prize for his brick. So that is our famous
No
brick in
way.
our building that is
I
part of
love
the
that
history that I love.
story.
Yeah, so it's worth
Yes.
coming even just to see the beautiful building.
I love that story. And that's absolutely, I love the exposed brick in your building. It is beautiful.
So
It's a
much
good
character.
color. The floors are great. And if I may elaborate a little bit, so there's lots of books. I don't know how you keep up with it, with all this queue and all these items. Lots of books. And in the back, there's big reading tables. Of course, now you have a reading club going on, a book club. You have some more things happening during more events during the week.
Yes. We
People
do.
use
Well,
the space.
we have two book clubs every month, and then there's always events going on. You know, we are a IRS approved literary not-for-profit.
Yeah.
And so our goal and our mission is to promote reading and literacy in the community by connecting people with books and authors. And so we always have different events going on to kind of promote that mission. We love to have author events, author signings. You participated in our big author fair that we had. We have that every year. And so if someone wants to know about our events, we post everything we're doing on our Instagram and our Facebook, because there's just always different things going on in the store. But we do have our two book clubs, and those meet every single month.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you promote reading. So important right now. And just having a book in hand, I love that. Although I am also used to read on my phone a little bit traveling and such, but I love the smell of a book. I love to have a book. I love to have books in the house, on the shelf. It's just warm. It's just great to have. It looks fabulous. And what I also love is that you have gift items that are related to reading or related to, there's pillows for reading and there's cups for reading and coffee cups and all those wonderful things.
Got to have all the fun book merchandise for sure.
Yes. That is so fun. So people can really go gift shopping and really get their Christmas shopping done as well.
We have something for everyone. Even if they're not a big reader, you can find a candle or a mug or something.
Yes, I love that. Now, thanks to Tom, you're in this building. What were you thinking? Now you're an owner. You're just like, it's big, it's a lot of work. How did
in my
you?
background, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had been a stay-at-home mom my entire life. So I really, my college degree was in accounting. So I had a little bit of business knowledge, but I had never done anything like this. And when I decided to open it, my first idea was, well, this will just be a little mom and pop shop, and I'll just be open whenever we're here, and we'll just have used books. And that was my thinking. And I didn't really intend to have any employees or I just go and open it when I wanted. And I quickly realized that that was not going to be the best thing. And before we even opened, a wonderful local young woman contacted me and said that she would like to possibly work at the bookstore. And I hadn't really thought about hiring anyone, but she came in and I interviewed her. I'd never done an interview in my life. And so but she just impressed me so much with her knowledge of reading. And I hired her before we even opened. And that's Carly. And she's still there. We've almost been open 5 years and she is still there. She's my right hand. And so I just sort of took a leap of faith and just did what I could. And it has all worked out.
Thank you, Carly, because Carly's always there and she's
Harley's the best,
amazing. Yes.
the best.
And we
And my
talked about,
husband
yes,
and I,
last week we had a discussion. I talked to another boutique owner about having two or one or two amazing people that you can always rely on, right? It's so important.
oh, we couldn't
So
be open
important.
because my husband and I, he does still have his business in Dallas. And so we're still back and forth. And my kids live out of town and we're traveling. And she just runs it for me. I completely trust her. She's never late. She's never sick. She's just the most reliable person. It's just,
So
you
important.
can't do a business without people like Carly. So
Yeah, it's
I give
so
her a lot of credit.
yes, credit for Carly. Yay, awesome. I love it. Yes, it's very important. What did you find the most difficult part then of diving as an entrepreneur in a business like this? Was it,
Yes,
so
yeah.
it was not the accounting, it was not the numbers.
There were
What did you have to find
challenges
out?
from the get-go because our grand opening was scheduled for March of 2020. And a week before our grand opening, the governor shut down all the businesses because of COVID.
Oh, yeah,
So we had that challenge that a lot of businesses had, but especially with trying to get on the ground and get running, it was especially challenging. And
yeah.
so people were supporting small businesses online. So before we could open our doors, we just got some online stuff going and were able to do some sales. And then we officially opened in May of 2020. And
Oh, wow.
so
Mhm.
that in itself was challenging
That was middle of COVID. Yeah,
in the middle of COVID.
yeah,
But there were some positives because so many people from Dallas were quarantining at their lake homes down
yeah,
here
yeah.
and they didn't have anything to do and people wanted books to read. So we actually had a really decent year in
Yes.
2020 to start
Yeah, that
off.
makes sense. People
So
are home and they want to read.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
was
that
kind of
makes
a
sense.
challenge right off the bat. And then I think an inherent challenge to all bookstores right now is the Amazon factor. I know that affects all small businesses, but specifically bookstores, because
Mm.
Amazon has a mission to put bookstores out of business. They want to monopolize that. So their books are, they view it as a loss leader. So they lose money on books
Yeah.
to try to drive out bookstores. So that is always our biggest challenge because we know people can get on Amazon. They can buy a book on Amazon for cheaper than I can buy it wholesale and then
Oh,
have it
no
delivered
way.
the next day.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, I can't even begin to try to compete. So
Mhm.
instead, I just have to try to offer something they can't get, which is a cozy environment where you can come and Carly or I can suggest a book to you, or things that you can't get on Amazon that hopefully you find some value in paying a little bit more for that. So
Yes, and
that's
you
our
provide
biggest
that.
challenge always is Amazon.
No, I totally get it. And I'm guilty as charged as an
Yeah,
author because I mean, it was easier.
it's
It's
just
not, it was actually better for me, of course, money-wise as well.
and
Income-wise,
I and
it's
and I
doing
do
very, very
really
well.
I do understand that and I do realize that everyone is money conscious these days and sometimes you do have to make those decisions, but I always tell people even if you can a couple times a year buy your books at your local bookstore just so we can help keep our doors open and then you're helping someone like Carly right in the community. You're
Yeah,
helping pay
exactly.
her
Yeah.
salary so that she can then go and spend in the community. And so it helps everyone out and it keeps your money in your local community as much as
Absolutely. And
possible.
that's what we're doing today as well. Just encouraging everybody just to go into a cozy store, pick everything up, feel it, smell it, all these fun things.
The
Yes.
book, like we don't even care. Sit down and read the first chapter and see if you like it before you buy it. So
Yeah, yeah.
especially for that.
Yes, I love it. And you have a coffee ready, so you
And
can
we've got
sit down and
coffee.
read a
There's
book. Yeah.
nothing better than that.
Yes, I know. I so agree. What do you think that people, I had this question in my mind. What do you think that people really, what kind of genre do people really love to read? You
Okay.
are so knowledgeable on all that. And I am, for instance, not I'm an biography, memoir kind of
Okay.
reader.
Okay.
And some other people are really into fiction, right? So
Yes.
what is
Yes.
the kind of a genre that goes really well?
It's interesting. Our two top selling genres at the bookstore are mystery and thriller and young adult books, which kind of
Okay.
surprised me when we
Yeah.
opened and I started seeing that those were the genres that sold the most. I was a little bit surprised, but because of TikTok, actually, with young people reading and books, it's become kind of a cool thing on TikTok. So there's been a big resurgence in young people and reading. And so the young adult genre is a really big seller right now, especially
Good.
fantasy young adult. Um, so young adult and mystery thriller, we sell
Yeah.
the most.
Oh,
My favorite
wow.
genre is historical fiction. I read a lot of that, and we do sell a lot of that also.
Yeah. And that was my next question. What's your personal favorite? What do you
Yes,
like to read? Yeah.
that's my favorite. I
Yeah.
try to branch out and read other things, but I find I always kind of go back to some good historical fiction because I love that you can learn so much from a historical fiction book about people and places that you didn't know before.
Yes, and absolutely. History tells us a lot about the future, right? So we
Yeah,
definitely need to know a
it's
little bit about
important
it.
to know, and rather than reading a boring, just book of facts, sometimes a historical fiction is a lot more appealing to people than a nonfiction book. But
Yeah.
we do, a lot of people do love nonfiction and biographies and memoirs, like you were saying.
Yes, yes. And how do you shop for yourself? So how do you get to pick what the next thing is that you're gonna put in the store? That's very
Yes.
difficult for me to understand.
Yes, yes. So there's a lot of support through, we're a member of the American Booksellers Association. And so
Okay.
you
Yeah.
get a lot of support from an organization like that. And they're constantly putting out lists of every week we get a list of here's what's the top sellers across bookstores across the US. So you
Yeah.
can look at that and see, okay, what's selling? We want to make sure we have that in stock. And then you also kind of have to just learn your local demographic. Like I kind of have to know the people
Oh,
around the lake
sure.
and what
Yeah.
they're going to be interested and want to read.
Yeah.
And so it's usually a lot of Carly and I kind of sitting down, and she's great because she's a young adult person reading that genre. She kind of knows what people are reading. Honestly, we see a lot on TikTok, Instagram, what people are reading. And so then we kind of pick what we think will be the best in the store. I don't always go off of here's what's selling best in the US because
Sure.
that may or may not apply to Malakoff,
Yeah,
Texas.
might not apply local,
Right,
absolutely. To Cedar
exactly.
Creek Lake, we should say, right? Because we're going
Right.
a little bit
Yes.
around the lake and we have several cities here of people that are
And
reaching.
I do have to mention one of our top sellers because Mr. Jim Willie and
Yes, I was just going
Cedar
to
Creek,
mention him. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
those fly off the shelves. They
Yeah.
are one of our best-selling
Yeah.
books. They're just so fun. In fact, yesterday somebody bought all four for a Christmas present, and so it's a great series. And
I have him. Yeah.
we love
Yeah.
having the local authors like yourself and Jim, Jody Nethery.
Yeah.
There's I have been shocked how many authors there are in the area. I
I
get
was.
I get inquiries
Yes.
every single week, and we just love to support the local authors.
I was blown away because when I went to your big annual author fair, with so many people. And
Mhm.
they live here. I mean, regardless,
They
yes,
do.
we have a lot of little cities around the lake and some bigger cities, but it was so interesting to see what everybody had on their plate and
A little bit
their
of everything,
bio or a little bit of everything. Yeah,
all different
yeah.
kinds of things that they were writing.
Historical fiction, autobiographies,
Mhm.
memoirs. It was really interesting. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I loved that. I loved it. And thank
I
you
have
for
been
supporting it.
surprised by that for sure.
That was a fun day, yes, and I love that you're doing that. And Jim really is wonderful. I have his books. It is for the audience, for the listeners, if you're further away, a local author who writes mystery books, thrillers about somewhat real but then made up adventures, I would say, right around this area. So what happened to, the fire that happened there and then it blown up and murder mystery, the whole bit, right? Everything comes with it. It's kind of a whodunit in a
Yeah,
really
they're
fun
all
way.
kind of
Yeah,
mysteries,
yeah.
but they have that local, the local setting. And so
So that you
people
can recognize it.
recognize,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so if you are in the Cedar Creek Lake area, it's just fun to read them
Yeah,
because they're set
yeah.
in your town.
Yes, and he does a great job here. Does great, great, great job. If there was one book that you've read in your life that you would really want everybody to have on the shelf, this is a difficult one. I'm thinking Jay Shetty in my case, for instance, right? Or
Yeah,
or
yeah,
somebody in the life coaching, self-development field, or
yes,
or
yes.
what mystery or what autobiography would you say that was one of your most popular ones? What would you think?
Well, for me personally,
Yeah,
when people
person.
ask me my favorite book has always been the classic Jane Eyre. And
Yeah,
I always tell
yeah,
people if you have not read Jane Eyre, you need to read Jane Eyre
yeah.
because it has a little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of romance, it's got a gothic mystery feel. I read it every October and I'm always
You
pushing it
know,
on people. It's just my favorite classic book.
it's a classic. I love that.
It's
Yeah,
classic.
yeah.
Um, and then my favorite historical fiction book is by an author, Martha Hall Kelly, and it's called Lilac Girls. And it is the story of women that were experimented on in the concentration camps by the Nazis. And it's
Oops.
based on a true story of an American woman who meets the women from Poland who have been experimented on after the war, and she raises funds to bring them to the US to receive medical treatment to heal some of their wounds. And so it's just an inspiring story of women and
Go. Yeah.
real women learning about women and what one person, this American woman, what she did and how many lives she impacted. So I love books that tell stories about women and women in history and
Women's strength, women encouragement, motivation, inspirational. Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I love that too.
there's a big focus right now on telling the stories of women in history. And I just love it because they're untold stories
Yeah,
that you would maybe never have heard of these women and the things that they
yeah.
accomplished. So
Yes, there's many of them. There's many of them. And I read
many.
some of these stories even coming by on certain Facebook groups that I'm a part of and reading about women. And this is a channel for women by
Right.
women. So it's absolutely, absolutely fun to read and to find out. And interesting. Lilac Girls, you said.
Lilac Girls. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
always have it. It's always
yeah,
on our favorites
yeah,
shelf. In the
yeah,
bookstore, we have a shelf of favorites
yeah,
and we're constantly changing those out. But the Lilac Girls is a staple there because it's a book that I think it's important to read and know what happened. And again, it's inspiring as women to know that you can do things like that
yeah,
and
yeah.
impact people.
And that's
So
what we're all about.
it
I
kind of
love
combines
them.
everything I love.
Interesting. I love that. I might come get it.
I
Yes.
know. I would highly recommend. I think you would
Takes me
like.
back to Europe, takes me back to history, and I'm a history buff, so I love that.
You
Absolutely.
would love it then.
Absolutely. What is your plan for the holidays coming up? Do you have anything in the store that you would like to highlight or that you would like to push right now that we have to definitely come out for?
Yes, yes. So, well, last Saturday was kind of the downtown Malakoff, our Christmas day. They had Santa, and that was kind of our big Christmas event.
Event. Yeah.
But our store is decorated for Christmas. It's so cozy right now. A bookstore at Christmas time is just magical,
Yeah.
and we have our trees up. Our whole front table is full of Christmas books. I think it's just fun to a lot of them are kind of like a Hallmark movie in a book, but that's kind of
Yeah.
what you want in December, just a
Yeah.
fun Christmas book that doesn't take too long to read, that you can read in the evenings by the fireplace or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, we always stock up this time of year on the merchandise. We have specifically great things for stocking stuffers. We've got
Yeah.
candles, we've got socks, we've got bookmarks, we've got earrings, stickers. So lots of just great things for holiday shopping.
Yeah.
And we will probably be having we had a 25% off sale last Saturday, and we'll probably do a sale again next Saturday, kind of one last big push before Christmas. But it's just a festive place to be right now, as is Antoinette's, the coffee shop, and Opal
Yeah.
and Viv's. Everybody's decorated for Christmas. And so even if there's not an official event going on, if you just walk through the stores. They're just so festive and full of spirit right now.
And I love that about our small towns because
Yes.
we really go all out and we have everything decorated in the streets. And there's just this wonderful small town family feel that I
It
love so
does.
much
It
about it.
is.
So I'm
It's
definitely
wonderful.
coming over
Yeah.
and I need lots of gifts. So let's
Yes,
go, Leon.
yes.
Yes, absolutely. Opening days every day of the week now, or are you Sundays and Mondays?
We are open every day except for Monday. We're closed on Monday. So Tuesday and Wednesday are from 10 to 2. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 to 5. And Sunday is 10 to 3. We do have the ability, you can shop and buy any book online. Our website is www.bookishcedarcreek.org, and that has a link, and you can purchase a book and it'll be shipped directly to you. So that's a big way for non-locals,
Yeah,
if they're
yeah,
looking for a
yeah.
bookstore to support, they can purchase on there and have it sent straight to them.
I love that you mentioned that because it was one of my questions. If we're not around, how can we get a peek? Well, in the first place, you can get a peek on Facebook and on Instagram, Bookish Malakoff.
Yes,
Don't forget
yes.
to go to Bookish Malakoff, Texas. So it's Bookish Malakoff on Facebook. You
Yes.
post also beautiful pictures and everything
You
that's
get a
going
little
on.
glimpse of the
Yeah,
store
you
just
get a
through
little
the
glimpse if
photos.
you're not around and you want to take a peek. And then you can go to the website, Bookish Cedar
Cedar
Lake.
Creek.org, just cedarcreek.org.
Bookishcedarcreek.org. Yes, I'm definitely going to post that as well and definitely make sure that we get that in the highlights about the show and in the notes about the show that people can find it as well. So I love it. I am so excited for you. I have one last question. What do you want the audience to know? Um, just some life quotes, some good quotes, some wisdom from Jen.
I would just say, I like to tell people this: you're never too old to follow a dream. You know, I had this dream and desire from a little girl that was almost a secret little, I hadn't told a lot of people about it because sometimes you're afraid to share your dream, that might not ever come true. And, you know, I was 50 years old before this happened. And I never thought it would. In fact, this week when I got to the bookstore, I told my husband again, I just pinch myself every time I come in here because it's the realization of a dream. And so, you know, there's authors that don't write their first book until they're in their 60s or their 70s. And so
Yeah.
just never let go of your dream and never give up on that, because you just don't know when it can happen if you just keep dreaming and keep pursuing that. So that would be my message.
Thank you so much for that because I believe it. Yes. And don't forget, if you have a dream, to manifest it and actually say it out loud. That would be my next thing
Yes,
because woof, here it is, right? It
yes,
is coming true.
yes.
Keep believing,
You
keep
have to
thinking
believe in
about
it.
it, keep
Keep
calling it
thinking
down.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Every
Keep
time
thinking
I
about it.
went in a bookstore, before I opened mine, I would look around and I'd think, oh, if I had a bookstore, I would do X, Y, Z. And, you know,
Yeah.
not really ever
Yeah.
knowing if it would come true, but keep it alive in your mind and talk about it. And you just
Yes.
never know.
Keep dreaming.
Keep dreaming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I wish you a wonderful season.
Thank
A
you so much.
wonderful, happy
Thank
holiday
you.
season. It is so fun and so festive. I will see you before the end of the year.
Yes, I hope
And thank you
so.
so much for being my fabulous guest
Thank you
today. I
for
love
having me.
it. Jen Sherman from Bookish in Malakoff, Texas. I'm going to leave you all the notes. And so if there's anybody who is looking for us, you can find us. Thank you so much, Jen. Have a great
Thank
rest of
you.
the day. I
You have
appreciate
happy
you.
holidays.
And hang on for a second because we're going to just close it out together.